Going over the kidneys, the external kidney, first we have the hilum, the entry and exit way for the ureters as well as the blood vessels. And then we have the renal capsule, which is the outside covering, this dark kind of brownish color. Then the internal kidney, we've got the cortex, which is the outer layer, right here, outer layer, cortex of the kidney. The renal columns are these kind of light pink areas going in between these, which we'll get to next. The medulla are all of the internal structures, so inside of the cortex. And then the renal pyramids are these triangle-shaped darker regions. So the renal columns run in between the renal pyramids. The renal papillae are the tips of the pyramids. And remember, papilla is nipple-shaped, so it's the nipple-shaped part. Next, the major calyx. Thank you. First, you have your minor calyx coming off the papilla, and then they merge together to form major calyx, and then the major calyx come together to form the renal pelvis, this large area right here. Next, the ureter is this coming down and out, and we'll see that also when we get to the bladder, ureters. We're actually going to skip the bladder for now. We can cover part of it. Female model. And so this is the bladder right here. It sits right behind the pubis bone and right in front of the uterus. So here's our bladder. The muscle lining the bladder is the detrusor muscle. And it's this muscle right here. And it's under involuntary control. We also have the parietal peritoneum, which is the bottom of the separates the abdominal cavity from the pelvic cavity, and so that lines the top of the bladder. The rugae are the little bumps on the inside. You'll be able to see it better on the male and the bladder model. The trigone you can't really see, but just so you know, it's between the triangle between the ureters and the urethra. And then the internal sphincter is going to be found right here, exiting when the urine goes to exit the bladder and goes into the urethra. We'll just look at the male real quick for a compare and contrast. All right. So in the male, here's the bladder shown here. You get a thicker the depiction of the parietal peritoneum here, again separating the abdominal cavity from the pelvic cavity. The detrusor muscle that lines the wall of the bladder along with the rugae on the inside. Again, it's a little hard to see the trigone, that triangle in there, so we'll look at it when we have just a bladder model. Next, you've got your internal sphincter, again, where the urine exits the bladder and goes into the urethra. Parts of the urethra for the male, you've got the prostatic urethra that runs through the prostate, which is right here, prostatic urethra. Then underneath this muscle of the pelvic floor runs the membranous urethra that you can't see very well in this model. We'll have to get another one for that. And then that connects to the penile urethra that runs along the penis. Then the adrenal glands. We'll just get a quick shot of this guy. The adrenal glands sit on top of the kidney and they secrete adrenaline, hence adrenal glands. And adrenal because they are next to the kidney.